Okay, so I really need to get my microphone sorted because I have one and it's not that great, but I should still just keep it with me because when I did, I was able to kind of get onto the mic and just tune out the sound. But at the moment, I'm at my health club and I was just about to have a little bit of a spa session and I'm super excited. But I thought I'd come on here and quickly record something because I wanted to talk to you about Asian family dynamics, specifically South Asian, specifically Indian. And you know the drill. We talk about this a lot. If you're on TikTok or Instagram, we'll hear people talk about it all the time. And, there was a point in my healing journey where I really thought I had kind of, overcome a lot of the challenges that come from being Asian. I've been able to tune out so much of like stressful family dynamics or like people who will deliberately say things to kind of put you off things, and you just kind of have to tune out the noise and keep going and following your journey and following your dreams. And it might feel like the worst thing in the world while you're doing it, but you still got to do it and you still got to deal with all the guilt. And there's a lot of that. And if you've grown up in an Indian or Asian household, you definitely know what I'm talking about. And to be honest, it's not just Indian or Asian. I mean, it's Middle Eastern. There's so many people who've experienced the same kind of thing. There's a lot of loud people here today, but anyway. Um, loud Asians, standard. Anyway, funny as I'm talking about it, but one of the things that I really wanted to talk about was that something just came up for me the other day, and it was really interesting because it reminded me that actually I'm not I am over a lot of things, but something happened today that like super hurt me, and that's happened every now and again, like I'm just thinking about it and like that actually genuinely hurts my feelings. Like, and this particular thing that happened to anybody else might feel like the smallest thing in the world, but to me, and it sounds like maybe I'm like totally blowing this out of proportion, but as a human being, as a daughter of households that, I had been someone who kind of held up that family, that unit for such a long time. Now that I don't live there, something had happened and it made me feel like, wow, like I feel super excluded from that scenario, even though I'm a very active member of my family. I visit them almost every other day or every day. I check in on everyone. I'm making sure everybody's mental health is in check. I'm like really good with ensuring that, everybody's, and I balance it out. I definitely have strong boundaries as well. And there are times where I'm like, okay, I can't come every day or I can't come every other day because I've got things to do. But the point that I'm trying to make is that there was something that happened that really reminded me of the fact that there's this huge communication breakdown that has happened, and it really arose a lot of feelings inside me that reminded me of like many times where this has happened in the past being younger, and also like the idea that you know there's just a lot. It just, the communication breakdown was a huge piece. It just made me realize like, how did it get to this? It's not even how did it get to this, like how did I forget the layered depth of this? And I felt like this happened for a reason because it's like almost like I need to share it now. I need to talk about it. These are things that I've been like crossing my mind and have been in my journals for many years already. And, I've been waiting, well, not waiting, but I've been kind of wanting to share this on the public space and talk about these particular things to let people know that they're not alone in it, but also the fact that, it's been a real journey to try and overcome a lot of these mentalities, especially as an unschooling mum. And yeah, I mean, I've broken a lot of stereotypes about my people, as it were. I don't even need to go into it in this particular video, but I will definitely at some point. But just going back to this communication breakdown, it's really, I mean, I'm okay now, but for a while there, it felt so raw and I was so pissed off. And in that moment, I was just like, you know what? I feel like something's being taken away from me. And it's so crazy because just yesterday I was in the middle of listening to a lecture by one of my teachers from a great mystery school that I'm in, and he was literally just talking about his exact feeling of lack that we all carry in our DNA, especially generationally, especially epigenetically, and from our own experiences and the evidence stacking from our own lives as to, keep showing us that, hold on, we haven't got enough. Or if somebody takes something from us, that it somehow makes us less of who we are. And I feel like this is the exact feeling that I've like nailed, pinpointed this morning. I journaled through it and I recognized that, hold on a minute, this is not what I initially thought it was. Like, firstly, I thought it was about ownership and feeling like someone had taken my ownership. But then it came to the realization that actually it's deeper than that, you know? Yeah, and I feel like every person, especially from any kind of tribe or community, minority, or anything like that, can totally relate to this, because this pattern has been a continuous thing since the dawn of time. Our families and our history all contain stories upon stories of injustice, of all these feelings of lack and feelings of helplessness and not enoughness, and all these different things that we all struggle with day to day. But what we realize is that actually these are frequencies. And I don't mean like, oh, we shouldn't be feeling like this. No. But these are all frequencies that do, it creates separation. It's not aligned with God. It's like we need to integrate those experiences and alchemize experiences and integrate them so that we can align with God, so that we can ask God, please take this helplessness away from me, because I know that that's not who you are. You won't leave me feeling helpless. You won't leave me without hope. You won't leave me without faith. You won't leave me in the depths of my despair. That there's more connection that we can integrate within ourselves around these experiences. And I feel like this is a really important piece because it encompasses so much of our day-to-day reality and our histories. Is to recognize that these communication breakdowns and the feelings that arises from that are not new. They're not isolated. They're not disconnected from each other. In fact, these exact feelings are the things that bring us closer together in community. If you went with your feelings so deeply and heavily with somebody who would understand them without you having to over explain yourself, and you brought that to them and they were able to see you in response, then in that scenario you'd be connected, you'd feel less alone, right? And this is how we are supposed to come into community. But yet there's so much shame around having these types of emotions generally, because it's shamed that, you'd even feel this way based around everything else that you should be grateful for, because, we have a roof over our heads, we have water to drink, we have a bed to sleep in. And then on top of that, we have everything else that this incredible time and history provides for us. And yet when we are in these dark feelings and dark places, there's almost nowhere to go with it apart from, perhaps therapy, perhaps this, perhaps that. But not everybody even has the ability in those moments to get help in that way, when really as humans we weren't created to share our fears and pain with a therapist. We were created to share our fears and pain with each other, to hold each other, to have space for each other, to connect with our sisters, our brothers, our families. And that doesn't necessarily only mean your actual nuclear families, because those nuclear families structures don't always have the capacity to hold what it is that you have to share. And that's the awakening realization that what expectations are we now holding on these people in our familial relationships to hold us? Maybe they cannot. Maybe we have to learn ways that we can do it ourselves for when there is no one there. But when there is community, that we need to learn how to navigate that and communicate those feelings in a way that was also not trauma dumping. I mean, these words are like, I was just thinking about this the other day, that although I knew what trauma to some degree was growing up, I had no idea the deep-seatedness of trauma itself and what it actually means to deal with your trauma. And yet today we have all these words like trauma dumping. Like, I'm sorry, but sharing your feelings shouldn't have to feel like you're burdening somebody else with them. We should be, as social creatures, naturally giving of our time and energy to others that we care about, to be able to hold space for them in a way that they need to be held. This emotional unavailability of our society, of our culture, is just completely devoid of heart, devoid of God. And I had to bring this to light today, because for me, as somebody who went through something really difficult, and not just one thing, many things that was so difficult, and I was so stuck in a victim consciousness for so many years, because I was still stuck in the trauma cycle for so many years. It took me almost forever to come out of that. And it was so hard to try and alchemize that and protect my child from my projections, and, you know, to get healing, to get coaching, to get therapy, and all these different things. And only when I was able to create safety within certain spaces for me to be held, which again, I almost had to build that myself, it just starts to make you wonder, like, what should be normal, right? And so I have tried to change the narrative for my community by being a beacon of light. Even in my darkest times, I have still done my utmost best, not for payment, not for an exchange, but genuinely just to be a friend for people who need it at the time that they need it, when I can. Obviously, I also have limited capacity when it comes to the fact that I'm a single parent. But even when I've had little to give, I have given it on the notion that I want to make the world a better place by being the change I wish to see. And the change that I wish to see is to see more people being there for one another, friend or stranger or family, doesn't matter. If you can be a shoulder for someone. And I'm not talking about somebody who just comes to you with drama constantly, okay? That's another story. Like, there's a discernment that comes with this work. And you do have to take care of yourself, and you do have to have strong boundaries and firm, you know, you have to know what your limits are. But in the same, I think having that openness and open heart to welcome another person into your experience, to give them space to be who they need to be, without judgment, without shame, without pain, that is like the ultimate gift you can give to others and yourself. Because for a really long time, I kept thinking like, oh, you know what, I'm so drained in so many other aspects, and yet I still give so much of my time and energy to people. But then when I really thought about it, I realized that these people are people that I care about. These people are people that, you know what? If it was like my last week on earth, I would want to be with these people. I would want to be there for these people. And I just wanted to share that with you because I want you to know that communication breakdowns are so common. It sucks for the common Asian households who have to deal with this constantly. Especially when there are immature adults in the room and you kind of have to rise above it and be not that as a model. Whether that path is followed by others is not up to you, it's up to them. And you also have to let go of the judgment that you hold against them for not following your path and not being in an awakened state or being as alert or awakened in a conscious sense. But the lesson from this is get better at communicating and get better at holding space. Because when you are able to hold space for others and hold less judgment for others, you will be able to do that more for yourself. And vice versa. The more space you hold for yourself, the more you can hold yourself without judgment and be graceful and forgive yourself and all these different things, the more space you will have for others as well. And I can 100% guarantee this because I had to learn this from so many different avenues and different cultures and different people from all over the world. Okay. And over so much time and energy and practice. And it's a devotional practice. It's a daily practice, like every single day, devoting yourself to a higher purpose outside of yourself. It's something that will change you. It will transform you and it will transform everything around you and the relationships around you. So just lastly, to go back to my point about the communication breakdown that occurred. Yes, I was pissed. Yes, I was frustrated. I was so angry. I felt so stolen from, you know? And it's only when I sat with that feeling and didn't judge myself in that emotion and just allowed myself to be pissed and didn't confront anybody in that energy. I didn't go to my child and project my situation. I didn't go to anybody outside. I didn't text anyone. I didn't start, typing warrior any of my family members. No, I just sat with it and I just breathed and I just worked on transmuting that energy within myself so that I could, without putting any pressure on me in time, I feel better. I feel not just better, I feel at peace. And that's the goal. Like, you want to just feel a sense of acceptance, of recognizing the present moment and where you're at, and then letting go. And that is not something that I even noticed at what time it happened, because there were other things that came up for me. There were other scenarios that happened in my home that I had to deal with that also, got to me. And it was only when I honored the feelings and I spoke to them and I opened up, I was able to find myself here, talking to you, breathing again normally, not feeling the need to fight this. Yeah, I feel a bit tired, but that's because I've worked internally on transmuting something that was heavy for me, that was difficult for me. And I just wanted to impart this today and to let you know that the way this is going to be met with at the end of this day, when I do finally see the people who hurt me, my goal is to meet them from a space of neutrality and a space of understanding that I'm okay and I'm gonna be okay. And these little things, no matter how big to me they are in those moments where I just want to like smash something, it's okay. I mean, it wasn't okay, but it's okay now. And this is the work that I do. This is the work that I teach. This is the work that I've practiced so deeply in my daily practice every single day for the last 9 years. And so if you can relate to anything that I'm speaking about now, or there's something that comes up for you in my words that makes you feel like you want to learn how to do this work, then please do reach out, because this is a space that I'm wanting to open up and offer time and space. I offer a 30-minute consultation completely free of charge to really learn about your situation, learn about where you're at, learn about where you want to be, and see if we can be a good fit. See if I can help, see if I can guide you, or if it's going to be a relationship that can be transformative. So much love. May the force be with you. And I hope you have a great day. Please follow, like, and share, and subscribe for more content like this.